well, typically I have it on something. What do I want to have it on? What's up for the playback? For the plea beezy? Let me pull up what's gonna be a good start for the topic. You know what? I'm gonna put that there. I'm gonna throw that there. I like to have those up right when the video start, because it's like when I got a cool random document up, when the video start, it makes you think like, what this nigga about to talk about today? What he about to talk about tonight? I still got one. I always got something. Let me just adjust myself here so I can be a little more comfortable. And then we're gonna get into the business. To the business of proving even further these numbers. Now let me just kind of review my little receipts, make sure. Oh yeah. I remember that. Okay. So we got those receipts, we got these receipts. We're gonna hit that. We're gonna explain about Alabama. Let me make sure what else I got up. I got this up. We're gonna reference this because this is always something to reference. We're going to be looking at newspapers. We're going to be looking at search results in newspapers and trying to compare. Let me go over here. Let's see, 41,000. And I'm going to do one other comparison, because I do realize that that's 205 by there. So let me do one other comparison between 1790 in the newspapers just to get that comparison. Okay, we'll say South Carolina. Date range it 1830. I hate this thing. 1830. What's up, folks coming in? I'm gonna look down here in a second. I'm just kind of getting it set up. Something else I thought about. I wanted to compare 1819. Bad out. Okay. No. We're doing different. We're gonna do 1790 to 1800. Okay. 1800. Why is this thing tripping? Really? I can't. It won't even let me just stop at 1800. It just goes straight to 1803. Okay. Whatever. 1790. Let me do 1790. It won't let me do 1790 to 1803. Okay. That's good enough. And we'll put the word slave in there also. Or, well, yeah, those newspapers back then ain't as plentiful. Runaway. I might do the decade after that as a result, because there's not a whole lot of newspapers. While y'all coming on up in here, how y'all doing? We'll do 1800 to 1810 newspapers. So let's do 1800 to 1810 results. Let's see what's up on that. Okay, still not a lot of results there. And that's on the runaway. Let me do slave. And yeah, I mean, I guess the older the newspapers are, now they got quite a bit more. 2,953 matches versus, okay, we got slave 6,700 versus 181. And we're about to get to it, y'all. Okay, runaway slave 2,900 versus 2,059. Okay. All right. So, as y'all are coming up in here, I basically started to wonder. Let me look down, say what's up to the folks real quick. What up to everybody that's joined in? Make sure I ain't miss nobody. Everybody just coming in looking. That's what's up. Getting ready for the stream. What's up, Honey K? Appreciate the heart. Me appreciate the gifts, y'all. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I ain't miss nobody. Making sure I ain't miss nobody. What's up, Yolanda? How you doing? Honey K, always good to see you. I'm gonna follow you back, Yolanda. Don't take it personal if I don't never really follow people back. Sometimes I just be seeing faces, and now in my live stream, if I start to see your face more often, I'm gonna start to make sure to follow y'all back. But like when people like first request, I be getting quite a few requests, and I don't know who's what and who's not what. Most people on my TikTok is actually dope as fuck though, to be honest. It's Twitter that be having a bunch of craziness. I still post stuff on Twitter. Appreciate that, honey. Yeah, I still post stuff on Twitter. But yeah, so tonight we're about to validate even more so with back-end proof of how Alabama and some of these states, we're going to focus on Alabama today, maybe tomorrow or so I might focus on Louisiana or Mississippi and Louisiana. I might have different days for each one. But how their numbers, and that's a slave ship manifest, and I got that there for a reason. But how does Alabama randomly get 41,000 people in 1820? Now, we've talked about this before. Westward expansion. After the 1803 Louisiana Purchase, they start heading that way, right? Then they become a state. It was Indian territory prior. And then all of a sudden, bam, 41,000 niggas. The next 10 years, bam, 117,000 niggas. And then the next year after that, bam, 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 253,000, right? But I'm going to tell you what kind of got me, I'm starting to hone in on the time frames. I'm coming up with processes to hone in on what happens between here and goddamn here. What all can I look at between 1810, when ain't nobody being counted, to 1820, when all of a sudden you got 41,000 niggas popping up out of existence, right? And we know that we can't explain it with slavery importations per se, because you're not supposed to bring anybody on a boat from Africa after 1808. So these people had to be transferred from somewhere, or they already were there, which is our main thing. The people, we were already there. Appreciate everybody coming in. I'm giving my little spiel while I roll up my little deal, But yeah, so like, how do 41,000 people in Alabama just pop up? And once I figure out a process of researching between decades, which I pretty much have, then I've done it somewhat in Arkansas. Then I'm going to do that for every single one of these states where niggas just pop up into existence after like 65,000, then bam, 195,000. But started off a little bit, but they don't get counted until after a certain time. Now, we do know westward expansion, but then it's like all of a sudden when you get there, all these people are slaves. Like, on top of that, like, how are they all of a sudden slaves? How is it all of a sudden 41,000 slaves, not 41,000 free Negroes or 41,000 whatever? You didn't import them. So this is what we were about to get on. So now I'm about to get y'all going through the Fiznack. So first things first, let me light my little light up right here. That's first things first, goddammit. What's up, everybody coming in here? 44 people, jumps up pretty quick. I looked down, it was 12. Looked up, it was 44. Out of nowhere, right? People not liking the live. That's all good. I won't be tripping. Appreciate y'all. Y'all can say that too if you want to, but your boy I ain't finna trip. As long as y'all in here getting the game, I don't give a damn, to be honest. Y'all can never give me. Y'all can never do anything. I'm gonna still be here every day giving y'all the game, man. Cause I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all being up in here and just taking in the info and spreading it. Spread the info. Let me light my libation too. Hell yeah, light up. Yeah, you see that right there? You see that flame? All right, let me stop. But I get a restriction. All right, so 1810 to 1820. What was the first process I decided? I mean, other than the dancing rabbit treaty, which we'll get to, is for those who don't know, is where I say in 1830 where things really kind of take place. But people come into the state prior to 1830, and then they just label 41,000 people as slaves. So first things first, I want to know how many people were imported into Alabama. And so I'll show you how I got that, first of all. I don't want to just pull up my little screenshots. Let me show you how I did it. Oh, let me pull it up. So we went to slave ship manifest. So Google slave ship manifest. So if you ever want to do it yourself, go down to the ancestry version that says, and it's sometimes two ancestry versions, not just one. Family Search is the other one. Go down to the ancestry version because it's pretty easy to navigate, and it still comes from the National Archives records, so it's still coming from the government source. It's just an easier way to get to it. The government National Archive website is just kind of ass, and so when you click this little down box, it's going to give you some options. Now, you see inward. So what are the boats that are coming into Alabama? These are the boats going out of Alabama. I need to look at those too. But the boats going into Alabama. Now, this one right here, foreign inward slave manifest, that's would be if anybody came from Africa, that's what that would be. Now in there they only have 36 documents, and it's front and back, so it's only like 17 slave ship manifests coming from Africa in the archives, okay? But let's look at how many is in Alabama coming inward. Now, I'm telling you this because if I'm already telling you this right here is where the people that came from Africa would have came from. Well, what is this one? If this is the Africans, what is this one? Well, this would be intracontinental. This would be during the years after 1808. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. One, after 1808, I'll just do it for the video. Slavery importation ban year. For the playback as well. Some of y'all people already know it. 1808 is when you could not bring any more Africans into this continent, okay, or into this country. But if you go over here, you don't have things starting up till 1821. So that should tell you these people didn't come from Africa, right? But on top of that, another way you should know is going back to this is 1808, they couldn't bring anybody, right? So then you got 1820. Well, in 1808, they wasn't even really, what I was going to say, my bad. By 1810, they wasn't even still in the state. So why would they only have slave ship manifest only from 1821 and upwards? Because they wasn't even in the fucking state like that. So just think about that. They didn't even get to Alabama in enough time to even import a goddamn African. Okay? So let's dwell on that fact right there first. 73 people in here, what's happening? And then what they'll tell you is, and I'll throw this up. Well, you know what? I'll just do it this way. I hate losing my little spot. I'll just do it this way. Library of Congress Indian Territory map. I did kind of fuck that up when I said it didn't. Indian. I was like, MDM. Motherfucker was like, nigga, what? Nigga, unhood your voice a little bit. All right, so, wait a minute, was that? No. Yeah, I got to go this way. Find the right one. There we go. So, And I love showing that mostly all my sources be government sources. Because when you can break down everything with government sources, people can't really do shit. And that's so dope. So this is your map of the United States. Again, these are the Indian map territories between 1600 and 1800. Most of the white tea folks was in this area before the Louisiana Purchase. So all of Alabama, which we're looking at now, would have been Choctaw and Chickasaw and Cherokee and Creek area. A little split between all of it, in a sense. Okay? So did they have enough slaves to so-called make up 41,000 people, especially the big burst that comes up? Well, let me show you another thing. Let me show you another thing. Supposedly, at the time of the Dawes Rolls, now this is way later, like 1900, but this will give us an idea on numbers. You have to go back 50 years to you have to subtract for about 50 years worth of growth. But it'll give us an idea on numbers, especially compared to what we see there. Where is my folder? It's called the Freedman folder, if I'm not mistaken. Where are you at, nigga? It be my eyes looking over things. It's hate when I have to go through things 50 times because I act like I can't. I do got quite a few. Damn, nigga, what the hell? I done been through this thing 3 times. I know what's in here. Hold on, man. Me going too damn fast. There we go. God damn. All right, so this right here, and I'm just not thinking about this to correlate with this. So just think about this. At the time of removal, I'm sorry. At the time of the Dawes Rolls, which these would have been descendants of the people of the removal and some who were still in the removal, just depending on their age. Because it was 50 years later when they signed up for it. But just at the time of the Dawes Rolls, the Indians would have said that, hey, and it would have been more than this, but these are the so-called people that signed up to be freedmen, or who they would have said was the slaves of the Indians, is what I'm trying to give us a picture of the number. So if these are the so-called slaves of the Indians, and this is the biggest number we gonna get, let's see if it can match up with the number from way years before that when they said they had that many slaves. So you had 4,000. 7,500. That'd be about 10,000. 7,500 plus 5, 8, yeah, 10,000. 12,300. We'll say 13,000 people, right? 13,000 so-called freedmen who were slaves of the 5 civilized tribes. Well, you know what? That's quite a bit goddamn shy of that 1820 number, and that's over 70, 80 years later of people who are signing up for the rolls. So we cannot contribute this number, right, to just being slaves of Indians prior, right? Got to get that out the way first. So you can't say, well, them niggas was slaves to the Indians, man. Y'all don't understand how they had all y'all enslaved like that before the white man came. And then what they do when the white man came after that? Well, they made the Indians leave the land. And you too, nigga. Shit. And then they took some of y'all as slaves too, nigga. You don't understand. Now, none of y'all stories is making sense. So the Indians gave up their slaves to the white man? But also took some Indians with them, or what's happening? I don't know. They don't know what happened. They just making up shit, right? So we know this number can't be slaves from the 5 civilized tribes, of the closest tribes who were on the map, who would have been in those areas, right? Well, they fucked up. Okay, so where else can we get this number from of 41,000 people? Well, let's look at maybe people were shipped in intracontinentally, which is what, because they couldn't have been shipped in intercontinentally, right? Because we already looked, enslaved importations didn't even start coming into that bitch till 1821, huh? So you can't bring an African, okay? And then what makes it even worse, as we click in just between the years of 1821 to 1837, why are those years important? Because those are the years where the 41,000 people are there. Let's see if we can make up that number in importations from around other states. You see where I'm going with it? How many motherfucking slave ship manifests do you got? Oh, okay. 733 images. Did you see that? Now, how many people are on each boat per image? Okay, well, they already took up one image, just giving you a fuck picture of the goddamn Manila folder. 732. Excuse me. So we'll go to one. Notice this is just a single manifest for a single person. Okay. What's up, Tabitha J? Said that one poet lady, 1502 Spaniard brought over black folks. Are you an idiot? Mr. That poet J, and you try to look like you a black dude, but it's funny because you're not a copper skin looking nigga. You're just in the dark. Like, you see, these are the games these motherfuckers try to play. Let me see if I can do this real quick. You're just in the dark. Like, you see, these are the games these motherfuckers try to play. Let me see if I can do this real quick. And let me take a second out for this nigga here. I'm sorry, I really shouldn't call him a nigga for this honky here. Let me take a second out for this honky. Who thinks he's copper colored and Siberian and Asiatic. He don't know what he is, to be honest with you. So guys, this is what he looks like, guys. So this is, not only does he braid his hair in two braids like a sassy weirdo to try to look like he's doing that cultural thing. You know how they only can do two braids, but it's funny because their hair unravels the same day. So he's kind of got to like redo the braid every day. Well, niggas we can braid our shit up and that motherfucker's locked. It's good, it's locked in. This nigga got to do that shit daily, okay? That's how dedicated he is to the caricature, okay, of being a fake ass Indian. But then on top of that, he would call himself copper colored. He would say that he was brown. You know why? Because the blinds is closed in his cheap ass apartment on the res, and the lights in that bitch is low than a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So when the lights are low, because you really ain't got, it's one of them little small apartment complexes. When the lights are low and the blinds are closed, he almost resembles a copper colored nigga. You know what I'm saying? He's like, look at me now. My ancestors was dark brown. I'm dark brown too. You don't see it? No, nigga. Put some sun in that motherfucking place, okay? Get your ass out the goddamn cave. When you get out the cave, nigga, you're white as the goddamn toilet paper, okay? You're white as this piece of goddamn paper. I can't even show you right here, okay? Let me show you a comparison, nigga. You and toilet paper, nigga. Toilet paper, you. Toilet paper, nigga, and you. The same goddamn color and what I wipe my ass with, nigga. Okay, let me calm down. Are you still here? Did you click out the live there, Mr. Brown guy? That told me that black guys were imported in 1504 by some voyager you couldn't think of the name for, nigga. A voyager who was a Spaniard. Just say Spanish in some 1500 year, nigga. They'll believe it. No, nigga, you the Spaniard, okay? And your ass still voyaging over here. You never mix with nobody because nobody like your 2-inch,
Okay? So you came here, that's why you're still white skinned, because nobody's fucking with 2 inches. Okay? Except for prostitutes. That's why y'all be paying them all day. Oh yeah, don't I know. I know, nigga. I know your secrets. I live in Dallas. I know your secrets. All right, let me get off this nigga. This nigga gone. This nigga whoop whoop. I'm out, nigga. This nigga clowning. Okay, let me get this nigga off the screen. And these niggas say they brown skin, nigga. Please, let me get this off the screen. How do I do this? All right, back to the lesson. Oh yeah, I gotta clip that and upload that. Freaking in a motherfucker. Let me light my motherfucking shit back up. So, anybody else want to clown? He said DeSoto descended. Look it up. Type. But did the Spaniard bring black folks in 1500? Sir, I don't have to look it up. I read the books. You don't know what you're talking about. First of all, most of those people who brought black people were free. Okay, you want to talk about the Archenega expedition? Who you want to talk about? I really ain't gonna spend much time on you, really, because I'm about to get back onto the lesson. Because what I typically do is just block y'all, because y'all play too many games, to be honest with you, and I'll be on you forever. But I'll show you this thing just to burst your bubble right before I get rid of your ass. Look at that. Now this is 1764 from the Archenega expeditions. Confirmed black properties by 1464. Okay, because they were settling upon those areas. Who are they talking about? The Africans from St. Augustine. The few that came. Look at that number. You see how many that is? That's very few, sir. There's about maybe 150. Maybe 150 by 1760. You think 150 niggas coming from Mauritania and all the little random areas is gonna populate and make 41 million people? Yeah, you probably do. You probably do think that. And on top of that, they were landowners at some point when they got here. So we must have, the Spaniards must have not been just treating them like dogs if they let them own land. So I don't think you know what you're talking about. And this is from a Library of Congress. That's their seal right there. The Library of Congress historians. Now, not only this, but your boy reads tons of books, okay? There's countless books in here. From the old days, in Paleo Spanish, in Old Spanish, in Old Latin. We read here, okay? We read tons of books. We translate those things, and we see what they are. And I read all the Voyager books, okay? My main thing is reading 1400s, 1500s, and 1600s. And then my next thing is blocking your bitch ass like I'm doing right now. All right, back to the lesson. My bad. Reread, they Google. Exactly. I don't even think that they barely Google, and if they Google, they just reading that top thing. But yeah, half of them ain't even Googling. These niggas are still just spitting shit off the top of their head or shit they heard on TikTok. I heard, the Spaniards came in 1529. They just throw a year out there because that's how this shit works. It's trolling. How are you gonna prove that I'm wrong? If I tell you a year that the Spaniards brought some and you don't know, because in most cases they know that you likely didn't read a Spaniard book from the 1500s. So they can just kind of throw it out there. A bunch of slaves, they had them here around 1627. The French? Yeah, the French. You ain't got to say a name of a voyager. You just throw a nationality out. That's what they do. And then what it does is it derails you. Because now you go looking for goddamn French voyagers like, I got this nigga. Okay. So you can think he done came up on me, nigga. I'ma debunk this nigga. Then you go looking through all these books, find out you did debunk him because he ain't. And then they just change the subject on you. So it's like, why did I expect, Anyway, let me get to the lesson. Let's get back to the lesson. But at the same time, I will say this last thing. Those people can be a catalyst for new research. So sometimes I try to, it's like a dichotomy. I still block they dumb ass, but when they come on, it does make me think about debunking them, which forces me down another rabbit hole that I might not have gone down. So anyway, so right here, back to Alabama. And off that weirdo. So 733 slave ship manifests, 732. The first one was a Manila photo. And can that make up 41,000 niggas being there in 1820? Well, let's take a look. As you go through, the fastest way you can scroll through is through this way. Now, what you'll notice is, since we know that all of these are just a single manifest of a single person, we'll ignore those. We'll just have to count those as one. But you'll go to these who have actual lists. Now, you notice this list has one person. One person was shipped there, or at least one slave. Same thing here. We're going to have several of them with just one person. But if you go through several of them, so now it may look, that's a Manila folder. So now it looks like you don't have a whole lot of records, right? Even when you come into some of these, still only one name. Now I'm gonna show you a couple that's got quite a few names, so we can validate that. Yeah, some of these do have quite a few names, so you can't just say they're all one and counted as 733s. Really less than that, because they keep taking pictures of Manila folders, but you have stuff like this. So there's one where you got like 5 people. Yeah, they really going to the max of the capacity here. You know what I'm saying, with these 5 folks. But where are these people coming from? New Orleans. From New Orleans to Mobile, Alabama. So one thing you'll notice, almost most of these in here are from New Orleans to Mobile, Alabama, because they're pre-printed for the New Orleans and they're writing in the Mobile, Alabama. And we know this is inward slave ship manifest, so they're all inward to Mobile, Alabama, likely going to be coming from New Orleans. And you see this one here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 names. So they was, had 10 slaves, right? Negro class of the Negro class. Typically prior to this, it used to say black, yellow, copper. I can't remember seeing white, but it would say that and different things like that on the class. On these ones now you say Negro, but it's not that many, and it's coming from New Orleans. So we have intercontinental, and as we go through a bunch of these, we'll see that a lot of these are just singles. So 733, we're not going to reach, basically, in slave ships coming in, we're not going to reach 41,000. It's basically what I'm getting to, right? So it's like, okay. So now we know that there's 2 things we can put to rest. You can't blame this number on Indians having slaves, because as we seen earlier, which I think I clicked out of it already, dealing with that dude, as we seen earlier, by the time the Freedmen Rolls comes out, only about 10,000 people sign up, and that's 80 years later, descendants of descendants. So you can't say that 41,000 number is coming from the slaves of the Indians. We also can't say that they have importations of slave ship manifest to account for 41,000 people. Can we account for 41,000 people being delivered from other states? Now, we do know that some were coming from New Orleans, right? But even New Orleans, even though they got there kind of late after the Louisiana Purchase, I'm surprised they even had people listed here before they had people up in Alabama, because that's a little bit further out. In fact, I'd have to go look these up to see if they actually have the records of this, because I'm really curious, because when I went to go look for the actual records of the 1820 census in Alabama, I didn't find it. I found 1830, did not find 1820, which makes me question, where'd you get this number from? Where'd you get this number from? But I'm going to have to look a little bit further, but there's only 2 places where I need to look, nigga. The goddamn census.gov, which typically puts it through Family Search and Ancestry. And if it ain't there, nigga, I don't know where else I'm supposed to look for a goddamn census, right? So either way, it's still kind of crazy. So I'm also questioning these Louisiana numbers. Oh, my bad. I was looking at that. Louisiana didn't come in until this time. Oh, okay, my bad.
That's Kentucky. My bad. That's Kentucky. Okay. Louisiana is more correct still. Still didn't come in until about its correct time frame, 1810. But they were shipping some niggas between out of here between in the 1820 to 1830. So about 45,000, or no, not 45,000, 733 slave ship manifests. Let's give them 1,000. Let's give them a cool 1,000, maybe 1,500, 2,000 people. Well, I mean, shit, the motherfucking population grew by almost 40,000 on top of being able to send about 2,000 people up to Alabama, which still doesn't make up for that 41,000 number, right? So we can't say that they were taken just out of there. Now let's see if we see a 35,000 slave. Appreciate the gifts, appreciate all that. Let's see if what's up, liberal. I'm really kind of honing in even more so on this this whole thing on explaining these the population numbers out of nowhere. So as we saw, they didn't have enough slave ship manifests for those just getting in. They only got 733 slave ship manifests that come in between 1821 to 1837. Those can't come from Africa, right? And this is coming into Alabama. Alabama is only recorded with having people coming in by 1821. Why? Because they didn't even get to that bitch until after that, right? Which makes sense. So they couldn't even import a nigga into that bitch. So you can't even say slavery importations was banned from Africa. And then the only slave ship manifests they do have are intracontinental of people coming from New Orleans, and they only got 733 slave ship manifests, so that's not gonna make up for that number either. And then when we showed earlier also was that is this number full of people who were living in Indian territory because this area was Indian territory prior to that, right? And so it would have been Alabama would have been we're looking at Alabama. Alabama would have been Indian territory. Did the Indians own enough slaves to have 41,000 people pop up into existence? Well, let's take a look at this funny thing here where I was showing earlier, which is how many people signed up for the Dawes Rolls in 1900, which would be 80 years later, which would be descendants of those people, which if it was 41,000, it should be a really large number, right? The descendants of those of those people from 1820 should be pretty expansive. But when you go to this person right here, when she had actually counted, some lady I watched long ago, all the people who was in this 5 civilized tribes that signed up, I added that number up. It was about 10,000 people. So 10,000 so-called people who signed up for the Dawes Rolls, let's just take into an account maybe there was another 5,000 that should have signed up that was supposed to be so-called slaves of the Indians. Well, that's not going to quite reach that 41,000 number just in Alabama alone, right? We also still got to deal with Louisiana, Mississippi, and any other state within that vicinity of Indian territory, right? So now we're trying to make up this number some other kind of way. How does this number come into existence? We can't get it through slave ship manifest. It wasn't existence through no motherfucking slaves of the tribes. And we also didn't see a drop of 41,000 within any of these major states. All of these major states, 103, 105, 111, 107, 100, 133, 188, 205, 107, 146, 196, 258. 21, 20,000, 15. The ones where it actually goes down, it'd be like New York, where it goes down because they abolish slavery by the end, before the end of everybody else or whatever. So that's the only ones that really go down. But 11,000, 40, 80, 126. So there is no transportation of slaves from another state. Where do the niggas come from, right? So the next process that I decided to do is hit the newspapers. What was going on in the newspapers between 18 goddamn 10 and 18 goddamn 20, or 18, 20, and 30? What the hell was going on in the newspapers in Alabama? Well, first things first, the one thing that you can conclude when you try to look up newspapers in Alabama, light them up if you got them. Alabama and we're gonna do a date range. We're gonna say, hey, I want to know what the fuck was going on between. Well, no. First, I'm gonna leave it alone. Notice, actually, the date range changed itself. I want you to notice the date range changed itself. Let me go back. Start that over. So I put in Alabama. Now, when I click here, it gives me a date range. The date range already starts me off at 1817. Notice that when I take Alabama out of there, take that out of there, my date range starts at 1690. Why is that important? Well, let's just show you for a visual. Alabama. That's because let's show the results. Let's search. We searching every newspaper in Alabama, and we're gonna sort it by the oldest newspaper so we can see some of the earliest times you get newspapers. You don't get newspapers in Alabama. Sorry, I had to pop in there. Till 1817. That helps. What's up, Ebony Excellence? It was a war in 1817. Oh, really? I need to look at that. Look further into that. I can also create native photos from $100. Let me know if you're interested. First come, first serve. Mr. ASAP, you better get the fuck out of here, ASAP, with your scamming ass. The fuck? Type in Tennessee. It was Florida. Okay, I'm gonna have to check into that. Must be talking about the Geechee Wars, possibly down there in Florida, the end of the Geechee. Well, no, 1817. Well, possibly. Because they weren't a state yet. Exactly. Yeah. Alabama was Florida. Duh. That's true. That's very true. I said he cutting deals. So yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that, Ebony, because you're on the right thing. That was gonna be my next thing, was looking into what major events happened prior to them coming to right over there, or what was in there. That's really what I'm expecting to see. I was expecting to see some things in the newspapers, and I possibly will, but I actually started searching search terms first to get some stuff that I'm gonna talk about here on here. But eventually, I'm gonna just like look at newspapers in between the times of people becoming states to see what I see. Now that don't mean that I'm gonna get it out the newspapers. I still got to go look at the history books for the wars, like you say, stuff like that, and archive records, maybe some books and stuff. Find books for those things within those time periods and stuff like that. But y'all love my folks, man. Y'all be on it, man. Yeah, I definitely get a lot of inspiration and information sometimes from the folks. So 1817, y'all. So that's important for many reasons. I'm not going to get too many newspapers. There's not going to be a whole lot of newspapers in between 1820 and 1830, right? 1817 is when I'm first getting the first newspapers in that bitch. Now, that's funny. You make me want to look. What's some of the earliest newspapers of Florida, since that area was Florida prior? I wonder if Florida has newspapers prior to 1817 or not. I've never thought about that or looked into it. Let's see. Because that's kind of funny. Because I'm like, could you get any newspapers from that area any earlier than that? Well, let's look. Florida, what's the date range? Florida's earliest newspapers is 1821. Now you got to think about it. This is when these dates all coincide when the British and English or whatever got there. Black people in Mobile, 1764. Oh yeah, we definitely, and many of us can prove past these dates. Yeah, I will say that. This is just when the English get there and British get there. Yeah, that'd be what's up if you want to send them. Yeah, I definitely take a look at those. These years would be with the British and the English. My bad, let me like this. Get in here. So any records we would have, some could still come from the British and English because some people were still settling before it kind of fully became a state. But then some records would come from the Spanish, come from ourselves, come from other record places. Sometimes there'll be censuses done prior to it becoming a state. and you can actually find that sometimes. And then there might be some Indian roads you might look into and other things of that nature. But yeah, so Florida doesn't have any newspapers. So when I went to the newspapers, now first things first, I want to show y'all. Before I show you that newspapers thing, I went to ChatGPT because I still wanted to know, and this is just kind of cool to see. I wanted to know could ChatGPT count up to for me like how many of these people on these slave ship manifests, and I actually typed in a prompt, and it really kind of blew me away. And it took it a minute too. It says I typed in what was the total number of slaves importations inward to Alabama 1821 to 1837 based on the inward slave ship manifest in the National Archives website. So I was real specific, right? And it said it took almost a minute and a half for it to come up with my answer. Like it was sitting there like, and it was telling you what it was doing. It was like searching database, going through NARA South Carolina, searching through manifest records, doing this. I said, "Oh, this motherfucking going, nigga! This motherfucker ain't no joke. This motherfucker going." I said, "Okay." But it came back with what I thought it was going to come back with, because I was like, the only way it would be super dope is if it had a way to actually click through every slave manifest and count them one by one, so I don't have to, right? So when I go through here, it says there's a short answer. It says first, there isn't a published total on enslaved people imported inward in Alabama between those years. So first things first, you got to think nobody's ever decided to go through and even count this shit. So just think about that first, and publish publish it, at least digitize a record of it. So that's how much research we're doing. We're doing more research than what's out there, right? What's available? They're like, nigga, you want to know what slave shit? How many people came to Alabama during those years? Y'all niggas can tell me stats of NFL players. Who was the goddamn first of the last year who did it in 2 minutes during the second quarter of the first half of some shit? Y'all niggas can't tell me how much goddamn how many people came in this bitch in Alabama during that time, nigga? What's the point of the motherfucking records? Y'all kept the records up, nigga. Y'all want to count them hoes, nigga? The niggas can tell you all kind of records in sports, okay? I can tell you the third nigga who did something last week for the 5th time, and he was the first of his kind to catch that touchdown. Okay, god damn. But okay, so unfortunately, motherfucking slave ship. Unfortunately, it said what you're asking about. It said the relevant series is the Coastwide Slave Ship Manifest. So I knew it was in the exact spot. It said the mobile inward coastwide slave ship and manifest. Remember, that's why I say you got to go. That's why I took y'all and showed you how to get there. So even it went there just by me asking the question. So I know I'm in the right spot looking at the manifest. Then it says why I can't give you a numeric total. He's like, nigga, this is why I can't help you out. It says go through. You're gonna have to go through every inward manifest between those times. Read the count on each manifest. Or count the individuals and sum them all up. It's like, nigga, you gonna have to do that because I'm AI. I can't do that. Yeah, well, I told y'all the shit is limited. Okay, now if it can't even do that, do I think it's going through every book and telling me history? Hell no, nigga. You mean to tell you that's the problem with AI? It can only sum up what's on the internet, and what's on the internet. If you post, let's just put it like this: if you type text on an internet screen, on an internet website, for instance, I'll do this. This would be a good example. So, because I'm also a website SEO expert, so every bit of text, because they got something called bots, and these bots, which are just scripts that go out or
things that go out and read text on websites. So it can read all these words right here. It can read every single word that's on this website. What it cannot do is open up this document, go through it, and click in here and read the text on here. It sees this box as a widget. It sees this box as code. It does not see this box or PDF document. Even if it was just a PDF document laid on top, it would see it as a code of a PDF document, and it can't read it. Hence, it cannot read all the books that's on the goddamn internet unless the book has been transcribed and pasted on a page that it can actually send a bot out to read. So that's just a little, whatever. It's limited is all I'm saying. Not that it's not good, it's just limited. And knowing those limitations is just all you need to know. But that's why it can't read them, and it's telling me, hey, I got to go read these slave ship manifests and break down, get the numbers. It told me there was a way to get a .csv file through here, but I couldn't find. It must be going off of old instructions because there was no option to. I was able to see a. I'll show you. I was able to see a. Where is that table view? It's like a table view. Oh, see, and on top of that, it's not even going to give me the table view on every manifest. I'd have to go to one that's got multiple people listed. Let's see if it'll do it on this one. See, yeah, so that just popped up. I pay attention to everything. Now I have a spreadsheet. So technically, there's supposed to be a way that I can get a cumulative spreadsheet of every individual. Then I can export that as a .csv file. I can upload it into ChatGPT, really, and make it count all the individuals. Or typically, I can just look on the left-hand side at how many cells is taken up or whatever. So anyway, your boy know how to do this shit and know what it's talking about, but it still can't give me the number. So all in all, we can't figure out what that number is, and also ChatGPT ain't gonna be able to go through all the account books or whatever to try to figure out to tell me where that number is coming from. So I'm still trying to figure it out. So we're going back to the newspapers here, and we're gonna try to gather up a little bit of information from the newspapers. Now, based upon just search results only, before we dig into some actual newspaper articles, based upon search results only, I wanted to see how many search results under the term slave do you get between 1880, really 1820, 1830, but they wouldn't let me select 1824, whatever, so whatever, 1818 to 1830, and how many newspaper articles come up with the word slave. Now, why would I be doing that? Why would I be doing that? I'm going to tell you why. Because, oh, shit. Drop a little whatever. Because typically, if you're going to have an explosion of 41,000 slaves pop up out of nowhere, you're going to have slave sales, right? You got to have newspaper articles saying, hey, we got slave sales going on. We got a bunch of Negroes ready for the sale. Brand new slaves ready, right? On top of that, you got to have a bunch of people running away, right? Because you get that in other states that have twice the amount of people, which we're going to compare them to in 1790. But we're going to have to compare them in the papers in 1810-ish or something, because you don't get a whole lot of results the older you go in the newspaper articles. But to try to compare them to a number that's about half, to try to get like a comparison. So we might look at like a Maryland number or one of these. I think I looked up North Carolina numbers, so it's almost half, but not really. It's more than half, actually. That's about a third. But either way. So main thing to take away from this first is under the term slave, you get 650 articles in the span of 20 years. Now, if you got 41,000 slaves, and all of these ain't talking about selling no slaves, you're gonna need a lot of newspaper articles to be able to publicize the fact that all these niggas is for sale all of a sudden. Where they at? Where you selling them out of, nigga? The Sears catalog, nigga? Okay.
So, as a comparison, excuse me, this says runaway. Hold on, that says runaway, runaway. I think I might have. Okay, slave right here. As a comparison, during the years of 1803 to 1810, older years, slightly older years, but in South Carolina, you have 2,953 articles talking about slaves. Now that's a big jump in articles. 650, 2,953. So yes, of course, I can't just gather up based upon those numbers what exactly it is, but I can definitely tell you you're not gonna get 41,000 people being sold within 650 articles. I can guarantee you that. hmm And I can guarantee you that 2,953 articles over 650 shows that you're likely going to get more articles about there being people being sold here than here. And your boy has started going through them, but I also looked up the term runaway. Well, how many people ran away during that time in Alabama? And not all of these are listing runaways, but it lists the term runaway, and you only get 181. Well, damn, that's all you got. That's the only amount of people that ran away. As a comparison, in South Carolina, you get 2,059 runaway articles. Sounds like a lot of niggas running away. I'm more than likely gonna find, as you can see there already, a runaway Negro man named Dick, a runaway slave, whatever. We're looking for this slave, these runaways, okay? That's North Carolina. South Carolina, my bad. Over here, they just talk about runaways. There's a runaway reward, and what's sad is it's of a young kid. We'll get to that. There's some right there. There's some runaways. Okay. Negro man. But notice it's probably going to be like 1 or 2 per article. So think about that. 1 or 2 per article. Not all articles. And you only got 181 articles. That's not going to really tell me that these 41,000 people were slaves like that. Because a lot more niggas would have been running away, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But I could just be tripping. But also, you got more here. At least 2,000 articles. And during that time in South Carolina, in that time frame, that's 2,000 out of... Their population was 146,000. They had a lot more people, a lot more likely that you're going to have runaway articles. But still, at the same time, at 41,000, I should see a lot more here. But for sure, if you're selling a lot of them, I should see a lot more here. Now, we're going to dive into some of the ones that I did look at and took a screenshot of because I thought they might have been intriguing. He said, look at the Florida numbers in 1810. Florida shows real low. Whoops. Florida shows real low most of the time. You don't really actually see nothing in Florida until 1830 because the English don't really get there until even more so later from the westward expansion. But so 1810 doesn't even have anything, which there could possibly be some records, but 1830 is not until you get it. And then bam, 15,000 niggas pop up into existence out of nowhere. She said, huh? Yeah. Yeah, the English, the Seminoles didn't even lose the war, didn't finish their wars until 1865. So the Seminoles still had a good portion of Florida in their possession, or while they were expanding down in Florida, is what I'm gathering from that. Why they would be coming in there later than Alabama and Louisiana and Mississippi. Have you looked through Spanish or French records? What's up,
What's that? Your name is Leja, if I say that name right, or Lejon, or I'm gonna just say Monet. I'm gonna just say Monet. Goddamn. What's up, Monet? Have you looked through Spanish and French records? For this particular topic, not yet. As far as where do you get those records? I do go to the websites, the Spanish websites, archives. So typically, what I would probably do is look through their archives, Gallica.com, that's the French one. La Biblioteca Nacional, something like that, that's the Spanish one that I be going to or whatever. And so at some point, that's a good idea. I probably will go and look through their years, through these time frames to see what kind of records they might show. So yeah, y'all on point. Y'all definitely on point. So we're gonna look at some of these right here. Man, I swear when I be smoking and on this live stream, I be getting damn congested. I have been looking through the Spanish records for Iberians. Send me a link on where you search records at. Need some Milan. I got some actually. I need to take the shit, to be honest with you. That's what's up. You know the herbs. Yeah, see, I know I know the herbs. I'm definitely a herbalist. I take golden seal damn near every day. Golden seal tinctures, dandelion root, and hella greenage. You feel me? As I roll one up to fuck my lungs up a little bit more. I think Milan. I drink Milan when I smoke, and zero coffee. I didn't think about that doing it while I smoke. That's a good idea. Can you send me some? Oh yeah, send Ebony some Iberian records too, if you don't mind, Monet. Or if you send them to me, I can send them to her, or whatever. Y'all can link up. Y'all should link up. Yeah. I got the Milan. I might have to go. I might grab me some because I. Getting a little parched, might have to give me a little OJ. And I know it's kind of late to be drinking some orange juice. Should just drink some water. But I like to take my tinctures with some orange juice. And we're gonna go through these little articles. I'm almost done with my roll up. And see what kind of is intriguing in some of these articles. All right. So, we're gonna go through one article and then I'll grab me something to drink since I done made y'all wait through the roll. Okay. So let me read this and then I'll remember what intrigued me about it because I can't really remember and it's kind of whatever. It says, and be it further enacted that, and this is from 1820. That it is hereby made the duty of all inhabitants being head of families and persons not belonging to any particular family to render a true and faithful estimate to the justices or other persons appointed as aforesaid for their respective districts. Such estimates from heads of families shall contain an enumeration of the inhabitants belonging to his or her family, making a correct distinction between the number of white males over the age of 21 years, of white males under the age of 21 years, of white females over the age of 21 years, white females under the age of 21, total free people of color, Indians not taxed, accepted, and the total of slaves. I think I screenshot that because the fact that I want y'all to realize that in 1820, this lets you know in their census, as they're doing their count, they're not counting Indians not taxed. That already shows you there's people here in 1820 that they're not counting, which helps to also talk about how after 1830 Dancing Rabbit Treaty, when a bunch of the Indians do accept citizenship so they can stay on their land, now you count them niggas, right?
and it burst up. Same thing likely here. Some probably played the game prior to the Dancing Rabbit Treaty. Well, really what it is, the Dancing Rabbit Treaty was in 1830, but the removal was kind of going on in between. And some people were probably choosing to stay on their land because the removal happened in between 1817, 15, something to like 18, whatever. But yeah, see, so that's kind of like one of those things because what you're gonna have is a separate role that I could probably look for that will be in between these years, and I might already have it saved, but it would be an Indian role, and there would possibly be a freedman role between 1820 to 1830. So now I want to go look. Let me ask ChatGPT real fast. Is there an Indian freedman role for Alabama area between the years of 1820 and 1830? I'm gonna have to spell it right. Hold on. Before I go Googling. And I already got some roles saved, but I'm not for sure which state. There's the Guion Miller, Baker Rose, Freeman, Charlton, Roll. Thinking a little longer for a better answer. Well, you need to think. Clarifying the Indian. All right, 7 seconds. Okay. Short answer: no. There is not an Indian freedman role for the Alabama area in 1820 to 1830. Next time, I'm gonna just ask the Indian role. In the way we talk about freedman roles for the 5 civilized tribes later on. Let me check up on that. What freedman roles actually are? Why you don't see them? Okay, let me ask. Why it doesn't exist? What does exist during that time? 1820 to 1830 for Alabama list heads of household. How about the census? Tribal roles between some. So I don't have to ask. Okay, that's what's up. It says some early Creek censuses and treaty payment lists like around 1820 to 1830, and the 1832 census related land allotments for the Creeks. So the Creeks might have one. They typically list Creek heads of family and sometimes number of dependents. Cherokee rolls, the famous Henderson. Okay, the Henderson rolls, 1835. That's a little bit later, but that is at least before. That's still not. That's still before the. Still not after the 1830 the 1830 Dancing Rabbit. It's after the 1830 Dancing Rabbit Treaty, which makes sense, I guess. They took the roll, and then some people say, but anyway. So I might take a look at those roles. Choctaw rolls, 1830. I'm still trying to see something prior to that number. I want to see a roll 1820 to 1830. So I'm going to ask if there are any Indian rolls between those years. Let me ask it that real quick. Are there any Indian rolls in the Alabama area between the years of 1820 to 1830? Yes, it says there are Indian roads connected to the Alabama region between 1820 and 30, but they are not called freedmen roads. I didn't ask you again for a freedmen road. AI is you stupid? I said Indian roads. I said the freedmen roads the first time. Nigga don't trying to remember context that I'm not asking questions about, nigga. All right, anyway, 1821 Creek census. So it looks like there's an 1821 Creek census. Head of household for the Creek Nation. Does not list African people individually. I didn't ask you that. And I didn't say nothing about no goddamn Africa. You goddamn biased ass motherfucker. Okay, anyway. 1824 Creek Roll. 1832 Creek Census. You got the Cherokee rolls. Now, this is kind of making sense because as we look, well, I don't want to pull up that photo. Oh, wait a minute. It'll be over here. I could pull it up. It'll be right here instead of having to get rid of my photo. As we look, what I showed y'all earlier, these rows is telling me the correct tribes for the respective Alabama area. I said, what is the Alabama area before? Choctaw, Creek, Cherokee, Chickasaw, it could be any one of those could have roles, right? And so if you're from that area, you kind of got to know that, and that makes it a little bit harder for you if you're in Alabama trying to trace your family because now you got to look at several different roles. And really, personally, I got to too because a lot of my people from Oklahoma, although I am on the Dawes rolls, that gives us kind of that. For the people who are preceding them and before they got to Oklahoma for the Dawes roles, I would have to go look at all of these roles to see where their parents are listed. But we already know the Indians because they on the Dawes roles, right? But either way, but here's some more roles. So I ain't gonna do that tonight because it's already 18, 20, 12, 24, and I want to go through these articles real quick for you. But that's what I wanted to show. So this kind of helps to show that, hey, they were counting people and they wasn't counting people. Those people were being counted possibly on other roles, but then eventually they get converted into United States citizens who are taxed because they now are citizens and their land is now part of the United States, unless it was part of a reservation. And they did kind of give some reservation land out in Alabama, but they shrunk it down, so those people may not have had to pay taxes. But I don't know. But this particular article I thought was intriguing just because, again, it's showing, as we know now, a lot of people just had one slave, and they had one child slave. And as you can see here in Alabama in 1824, now just think about it. I'm trying to find enough people being sold and things being happening between 1820 to 1830 to account for 41,000 people. And here's 1824 with one of the first ones that I really do finally see. And it's just two. And it's two kids, a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old boy. And that's even more sad, a 9-year-old boy. Now, they're selling them out of somebody's estate. Now, how the person had a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old boy, which means they would have been younger than this when he had them, it's pretty damn sad. Ain't no telling. Where the parents? What happened? Oh, they just showed you from a plantation. No, because we know that just think about it. We know now that these people didn't just pop up into existence or is transferred from another state. We do know that. We do know they didn't bring these people over on boats. So where did you get you some motherfucking kids from? Sad, right? All right, next one. Now here's one. They selling slaves. 27 of them. Okay. On the description among those most valuable, a 24-year-old blacksmith. People are hooked to your channel. What did it say? People are hooked to your channel. Congrats on reaching 4,000 hours. Damn, I was waiting to reach 3,000. And I was just looking at it yesterday. That bitch barely crossed 2,000. Now all of a sudden it crossed 4,000? It must have just gave me credit for hella hours. Out of nowhere. That's crazy. Appreciate the claps. That's what's up. Okay. Nigga, I don't even care about the monetization part. To be honest with you, your boy got businesses. Your boy make bread. You know what I'm saying? But it's about being able to reach more people. The higher I can get up there, the more people I can reach. The more people gonna tell the truth, and we got like how Tariq Nasheed be out there because I'm gonna be doing some documentaries. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Look, I'm in the talks with one of these chiefs out here that I had phone conversations. About doing documentaries for their tribe, you know what I'm saying? Black Indian chief, So like, and we're talking about at the start of the next year. I'll say the name at some point in time later, but I'm also gonna do my own documentaries. I'm gonna try to go ahead and get one out this year. Waiting on the Geechee doc, right? That's the one I'm trying to do this year. I was like, maybe I should wait till I do that with him because they kind of got some ties not close to Geechee, but with Geechee. But I want to go ahead and get one out of the way by myself. That way I got it out of the way, and then at least do that. I love the ideas, and congratulations. Appreciate that, Blue Morgan. Appreciate all y'all. Appreciate that, Yolanda. Appreciate all y'all. What's up, Mocha? Said it's coming. I appreciate it. But I was saying that to say, and Lee, I seen you in there too. I was saying that to say, like, about the Tariq Nasheed thing. Like, when Tariq Nasheed says something on his platform, goddamn FBAs will parrot it like a motherfucker. And I don't like that because they're not looking into it. I want my people to be super informed. Like, Tariq can say shit like idiotic shit that I can't stand. The reason why we had made mac and cheese like that is because Master threw the last of the cheese. Okay, we had the scraps. Okay, all that neck bones and hog maws was the scraps. And we made delicacies in our economically oppressed blah blah time. So our food comes out of strength and oppression. And this, shut up, nigga. No, it didn't. Okay, you can't just say stuff no more. And that's what that's he say. Everything our music genres come from the heartfelt oppression and anguish and the fortitude that we had as foundation of Black Americans to strive through. Okay, shut up. Now you sounded like a preacher. Because unless you pull that bitch up in a book or a document for me that a nigga sat there and said, when I was making this goddamn music, nigga, I was thinking about the ancestors striving for that. Or, unless you pull me up somewhere the nigga said that, then and I'm not listening to that shit. Now, if a nigga say it, then that nigga say it. Okay? If Lil Richard come out and that nigga say that shit, then okay. Because that's the king of a bunch of that rock and roll shit. And nigga come out and say that shit, then okay. But this nigga didn't tell me nothing like that. Okay? That nigga tell me who he inspired and he made this shit and he came up with it, nigga, hit on himself. And I believe it. And it was the spirit of the ancestors, yeah, but the ancestors, the Indians, the people that's been way back, nigga, not no damn. Anyway, okay, let me get off that. So, I was just gonna say, so when they parrot what I say, when y'all go out there and you parrot these it's not talking points that y'all parroting for me, it's information that y'all are giving out versus parroted talking points. And so having that on a national level, on a large level, not national, but a large level, is what I aim to do, not just to get no money at all. I got many other ways I'm out here getting this bread. But, so you got 20-something slaves. Okay, that just shows me that, some of these articles will show several, but many of these won't show many. So let's look at this one, read this one. Whereas Letitia or something, Bundles, wife of Abram Beatles or something, has taken from this county 3 Negro slaves by names of Mary, Harriet, and I can't think of that. I can't see that name. Amber. Hereby for whom persons trading. I think I did this because it's 3 women. Again, kind of just taking screenshots of. Sounds like just a lot of women and children. This one had at least a 24. This one I remember why I did that, because among them there was like of every among this description, among whom most valuable is a 24-year-old man who's a blacksmith. I remember why I screenshot that, because remember when I said, hold up, didn't want that to go out. Remember when I said, why would you go to a slave auction or a slave sale, right, and buy a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old? They wouldn't be that valuable for a while, right? And then by the time they become valuable, you will have put so much into them as far as clothing, food, and other things, that now you're just kind of getting your money back. So it seems kind of counterintuitive. And this kind of helps to show, yes, who was the valuable person? A 24-year-old male, okay? So why does so many of these people have children and just one child? That is why I took that screenshot to help with that story. I'm always thinking of all angles, right? So, and this one is showing women. This one, let's see. William, that he is free. Okay, yeah. Start at the top. Taken up by the subscriber on the 23rd, a Negro boy. This is still in Alabama. This is 1821. A Negro boy who says his name is William. That he, not Umtumbe, but his name is William, okay? That he is free, he's free, is what he's claiming, but somebody took him. Think about that, right? And came from Virginia to this country with a Mr. Smith, who discharged him after the time had expired for which he was bound. What do you mean? Wait a minute. Slavery has a time frame which you can be bound? I thought that was just indentured servitude that had that. So now we can think of slavery in a few different ways. You can buy your way out of slavery by paying a sum. You can buy your way. I got receipts of people buying their way out of slavery through paying installment payments. You have slavery listed here, which could be bound for a particular time frame, apparently. And then you have some people who were slaves for life. I have seen that listed on some things too, but it literally says slave for life. But if you didn't know that it had to say slave for life for it to for sure mean slave for life, you would think that every word slave meant slave for life, right? But now, because you can actually see that it never necessarily meant that, because if it was a slave for life, you couldn't pay to get out. You can't pay your way out of life in prison. We sentence you to life in prison. Well, can I slide you this $1 million real quick? No, sir. Life in prison, nigga. Get your ass on, right? You can't pay your way for life out of prison. So just think about it. But they'll tell you that. And then we have proof here that a guy who said he was free said he was discharged after a certain time frame, who was a Negro boy. Somebody might be, well, maybe they mistake that and there was an indentured servitude. A Negro boy is indentured service. I thought only white folks can be indentured service. This is pretty damn concrete right here. In slavery times, 1821, when they just got to the state, I don't know where they got the nigga from. Well, they said he came from Virginia. And that also made me know that, look, some of the niggas may have came from Virginia, not that many, and looks like they wasn't going to be slaves that long. So he shouldn't have even been counted on the census as a slave by 1830, since he was not a slave in 1821. See how I'm getting at? Or was maybe everybody discharged? They brought him there and they discharged them all? Indentured service, right? I'm sure the contract would be different if he was an African. Now I didn't even think about that. Maybe the few Africans they brought here might have been caught up in some for life slavery. But these is Indians over here. That's for damn sure. Is that why your screen's cracked? Nah. And that's my it's not cracked, it's my it was funny. That's my screen protector. But you know what? My screen might be slightly cracked on it, but most of it is my screen protector cracked. But I think it is cracked once on that side. And that didn't happen for me doing that, but that did happen because I got mad one day and hit it across my knee. Like, this goddamn piece of shit. I was like, damn, I didn't think I hit it that hard. I just kind of threw it down. But anyways, I'm better with my anger these days. I'm just playing. But I know, and I'm talking shit about myself too. Let's see. Let me read this to see why I took this. Oh, okay. Article first authorizes commanders and other commissioned officers of the two actions or something duly authorized to cruise on the coast of Africa, of America, and of the West Indies for the suppression. I know y'all was probably thinking, no, for the suppression of the slave trade, under conditions subsequently specified, to search, detain, capture, and send into the proper country of the captured vessel any vessel of either nation
concerned in the unlawful traffic in slaves, the vessel so carried in to be tried by the tribunals of the county to which they belong. Now think about this. This is 1824 because what the other talking point. I'm all about every talking point you can come up with. I'm smashing that bitch. The other talking point people will try to say to you is, in fact, I'll let the motherfucker tell you real quick what his line as, cause they always say it, and then I'll elaborate on his dumbass lie. Where you at, piece of shit? Here he is. Some of y'all might remember seeing this weirdo. It's not that one. This one. Yeah. So right here.
Were forcibly taken over the next 200 years. Of course, millions more Africans were kidnapped from their villages and taken to other parts of the New World, the Caribbean. And
wait a minute, not this one. Not this one. Hold on. It's this one.
Were, by law, supposed to be
So right here.
board slave ships. And by the way, the port of Savannah, where this memorial is located, was a major receiver of enslaved West Africans after Georgia legalized slavery in 1750.
Right here.
So this date, 1808, is quite important because not only did it legally attempt to stop the importation of new slaves, but accordingly, it also affected how slaves were treated. And that is that before 1808, the plantation owners, the white plantation owners, knew that they had an endless supply of enslaved Africans that they could bring into the United States. As a result, their treatment was particularly harsh, resulting in very short lifespans, since the plantation owners knew it didn't matter. If they died, they could always get new slaves from Africa and bring them in by ship. After the importation ban, although, as I say, some illegal ship arrivals still occurred, and all the way up to the Civil War.
See that? Listen to that. That part right there. The lie right here.
Although, as I say, some illegal ship arrivals still occurred, and all the way up to the Civil War,
So he was saying, they always say, well, of course, ships were still showing up illegally. Just toss a talking point out there, right? So the reason why I screenshot that, and that ain't the only one that I got of that, but I'd have to find the other one. I screenshot something like that at another period, is the fact that this shows you that in 1824, nigga, they had cruisers across each coast saying, nigga, if any of y'all attempt to sit here and bring a slave in this bitch from any one of these coasts, nigga, we bringing you in, okay? And we putting it in the paper, okay? So don't sit here and tell me that illegal ships supposedly showed up. That just means, hey, there's not going to be any paperwork for this. No manifest, probably nothing in the newspapers. So it's a talking point with no proof. Just believe it and understand we're going to say that to make up for this number. But again, you're going to have enough sales of slaves or something else to make up for that number too. But you damn sure can't have many of these things in here where they talking about, hey, nigga, if you keep bringing in slaves, we gon' fuck you up. Or if you try to bring in a slave in these waters, we got people, they said we got people off the coast of Africa, people off the coast of America, and people off the coast of the West Indies chilling, if you want to try us, okay? So that's what I'm getting at with this. Yup, it's a contradiction. Ooh, the content in Mobile was supposed to be after slavery. The Clotilda. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, and that's why that Clotilda has been known to be a false story, a fake ass story. Oh yeah, I did a video about the Clotilda. I did 2 videos about it. In fact, let's play the Clotilda story. I only have one more document. The act in 1808
prohibiting the importation of slaves into any state shall itself prohibit the importation implies that it is said in the mission that the state possessed the power to exclude the. Anyway, I wanted to show that they were continuously talking about that in the papers about the ban, right? Let me pull up the Clotilda story. Because, yeah, they be bullshitting. Because the whole thing with the Clotilda is they try to say it was a guy that made a bet with some guys that said, hey, I bet you I could get me some slaves up in here. I know it's banned, and I know that lets you know that people was, that's why I was a bet. Now that I see that, that even further lets me know why they were making that bet, because motherfuckers was patrolling the coast, and they had to like. He was like, I can make it all the way to Africa and back. They won't see me. I'll bring some slaves in here. And he didn't do it back and forth for no enterprise. And also the reason why I threw that number in, because now you got to think about it. If they was just to toss this in there, if 41,000 people came here off of boats that was smuggled, and they just talked about how they got niggas off the coast of Africa and all these other stuff trying saying, nigga, if you smuggle one nigga in, nigga, we fucking you up. Well, you damn sure ain't about to smuggle 41,000, okay, and 117,000. And in many other states too. If you add up all the states that all of a sudden get counted by that time, you're damn near sure not smuggling in that goddamn many. When especially during the entire slave trade, only supposed to y'all, only 333,000 came in. Really, that number's down to 90,000. So, like, you're damn sure not doing that. So that even more so goes against the whole smuggling shit. But the Clotilda, his bet was like, nigga, I bet I can get past these people and bring me some people in. And that's why when he got there, he had to do it at night. He supposedly came back at night, even though the story's a lie. He came back at night on a random area in order, and all the slaves jumped out with no clothes on in a dark time. They was young with no clothes, couldn't speak no English, all this other stuff. And the reason why I say that is because later on there's this book called Barracoon that not Barracoon. Or there's a book, was it Barracoon? One of these books that comes out where it's supposed to be a slave giving his, I think it was Barracoon, his account of the whole thing that took, yeah, it was Barracoon, of what, and written by that bitch ass motherfucker, Zora Neale Hurston, with her motherfucking, first Zeta Phi Beta motherfucking ass. One of the first sorors that ever came into existence. Anyways, Masonic people. But anyways, she wrote the book, and a Barracoon with so many lies in it. You get this dude who in his late years, in his 80s, is recalling this story about being dropped off at like age 19 or something like that. And he didn't know the area, but all of a sudden, they was dropped off at night under all this, shit in this random area. And then all of a sudden in his 80s, he knows the name of the river. He knows the spot. He's like, yep, there go the spot right there. That's Boggy River. That's this and that. And I'm like, nigga, hold up. How the hell you know where the fuck you was at night? At 80 years old, they can't even find the shit, first of all. He came in a random, and I looked up the place. He came in a random fucking area in the river. How the hell did you know and could remember where it was? Nigga, you got off the boat not speaking any English, naked, scared than a motherfucker at night. How the hell and they shuffled your ass off? I remember the whole story. And how the hell you gonna remember that shit? There go the spot right there. Get your stupid ass out of here, man. These people be playing goddamn games. See, got me pissed off thinking about the story as I retell this shit, trying to look for the shit. Man, like just reading through some of this shit, like, man, this is the stories y'all telling my people, and boy, got a nigga hot. Let me see, where is these stories at? There's so many goddamn stories. This might be one of them.
So I stumbled across this, and let's just go through some of the propaganda in this damn document.
No, that ain't the slave. That ain't the Clotilda. I kind of curious what the hell I was talking about on there. Man, I wish there was a way I could search my videos. And that's if I even put decent keywords in them, to be honest. Sometimes I don't put descriptions as I should, so that would make them not as searchable. But even if, and what I probably need to do, that would take some time. Okay, there goes one. I made multiple stories of it, so this could be a later one or an early one, but we'll see.
Okay, so I just have to do this. I'm gonna go live tonight, but I want to show y'all this. So they got this story about the Clotilda, and this is the nationalparkservices.gov, and they mentioned Zora Neale Hurston as the person who tells.
Now this is probably early before I knew everything, and the other videos might be after this. We'll see.
The story for this dude named Cudjoe, who is the last person known slave that they could ever talk to, because apparently there's no records of anybody really hardly talking to slaves like that were survived. I guess, even though they say there's some slave narratives, but this is what they say, so she wrote a book. And so I got that book here. Okay. And let me just show you the book. This is the book, Barracoon. And everybody...
This is before I got real good at making videos that are a little bit more interactive than this.
Has been basing their information mostly off of this book, as well as some newspaper clippings, and as well as some testimony from some of the old family members on the so-called slave owner side. But when you first get in there, I read pretty much all the introductions and stuff, a whole lot of fluff. And then I start, because I wonder, is this lady really a folklore? Is this like a fake story? It just seems too dramatic. She goes to visit this is the first chapter. She goes to visit, I'm gonna read you a certain part, but she goes to visit this dude, this man, and he's in his old age. He was taken captive from Africa at age 19 apparently, and landed in Mobile, Alabama in 1860, experienced maybe 5 years worth of being enslaved, and next thing you know, he's free. And
yeah. Think about that. You read this book, so think about it. Think about it, Ebony. If you think about it, because when it's one thing to read it, and then it's another thing to think about it even more so. So you got off the boat at 19. You only went through slavery for 5 years. Your African language should still be there, right? You should still know how to speak. At age 19, you're pretty set with with what you know about your language, right? So at only 5 years ain't long enough to beat it out of you, right? and here you are, you're free 5 years later, and none of your family members and descendants know any of that language. None of them. I remember looking up their kids and all of that. They try to act like she's Geechee. They try to act like that because she's trying to fake the way that he talks. Talking about I'm from Afiki and this and that. And I didn't know about the Geechee thing prior to this. Now that I know that, and I know that her story came after Lorenzo Dow Turner, and she and him was in cahoots. Okay? Now that I know that a lot of her words came from his book. So the way that she spelled words that he said really were just ways that Dow Turner put them in, spelled them. And Dow Turner just kind of really made up some fluff when you read his shit in a lot of his cases. And so now that I didn't know that during this time of this book though. So now it's all like, okay, you used Dow Turner shit to make this book that actually makes a caricature of a Geechee, which even more so solidifies the Geechee story in existence, right? Because now they got somebody they can point to that was a Geechee that said he came off a fucking slave ship boat. But this nigga in 5 years supposedly lost his African language and still can't do it. But what's funny is when in the beginning of this story, she got this nigga crying about Africa. She was like, I first walked in and I said, hey, don't you remember Africa? And she was like, he all of a sudden burst into tears and was like, oh, I haven't heard my homeland of Africa in so long.
But just hearing the words of my whole leg just brings back. Nigga, does it bring back the language, nigga? Does it bring back the words your mama told you long ago, nigga, when you was 19 years old? Let me calm down, nigga. It's late. Nigga, these niggas be lying, nigga. Be lying. Let me calm down, nigga, for my... just because you got to think about the mind tricks of the games that these people have played, and these people, both Lorenzo and Zora Neale Hurston, when I looked them up, both of them were just like fresh new sorority and fraternity members. And you think about it today, your sorority and fraternity members today are mostly your Pan-Africans. Think about that, right? These people would be your Pan-Africans of the early time. That's why they pushing the African story. That's why Lorenzo Dal Turner is doing exactly like OHF and Black First and the rest of them niggas. No pseudo and teaching and all them other niggas I got blocked. They'll never will see my motherfucking live streams. Nigga gonna have to come in on the back page, nigga. And they better not let themselves be known. They blocked again. But yeah, think about it, yes. All of these things connect. Zora Neale Hurston, Lorenzo Dal Turner were sorority fraternity members, and they were some of the first ones of some of the sororities that when like at the establishment of some of them bitches too. So you talking about early day Masonic, Divine Nine type shit. And there's a dude named Cesare on here that I follow. He's he's like a ex Divine Nine. I used to love Zora, but she's an agent. Yeah, right. And blocking me. What's up, Dawal? They all blocking me. He did not learn English that fast. Exactly. And when we read these things when we're young, we will just take them for what they are. That's the purpose. That's why they put this stuff in schools and not put it necessarily as stories that you see later. They don't really care if you read it too much as an adult. People do read it as adults too, though. And they still take it for what it is. It's kind of like that book right now that's going around, Black AF History. Let me show y'all that bullshit ass book. I bought that motherfucker. I knew it was gonna be super propaganda when I. That's why I bought it, because somebody had made a video about it, and it's in my Kindle. Somebody had bought was making videos about it, and I already knew the dude was a goddamn agent. Not right now. This book right here, Michael Harriot. Like, when you start reading through this shit, dude, it's even worse because he's trying to. He's almost trying to. Damn it, stay on it. Whatever. I'll just do this. He's almost trying to do like a not pop culture view of a shitty or of a fearful, horrible history, but like he makes light of things, but he also compares things to like hip hop references and shit, random things, and like you said it's a video of Kojo, and he's just sounds southern and old, not African. See, I need to go listen to that. I want to say I may have heard it. I think he had a high pitch ass voice, if I'm not mistaken. And to be honest, I think he may have just went along with the shit. Like, fuck it, yeah, I'll go along with it. Like, nigga, you pay some old ass, junkie nigga, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm from Africa, shit. Nigga, give me some of that bread. You say you writing a book? They don't know what the fuck, especially back then, man. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, he could have been real, but well, I say he's somewhere real because they say there's descendants of him, and I remember seeing the descendants of him. But he still might have just went with the story. There was something in his backstory that I was kind of iffy with. But something about him and some white folks, either his master and some of their relationship or something, that made me think he might have been on cool mode. But yeah, this book right here is some bullshit. And when you buy it, like it's all this fearful stuff, whatever. I can't even remember, man. I was gonna make a bunch of videos about it. I think I made like 1 or 2 videos about it. And then I really probably need to go back through this bitch. But it's 400 and something pages. And it's like, man, when I tell you people will make when people will make, like, first I start thinking, how could people really make 400 pages worth of a book worth of fluff? But I think about it right now. There's people that sit on a live stream and FBA panels or not just FBA panels, Pan African panels, African panels, whatever. And not no knock on some of y'all FBAs is super cool. So, you know, some of them just be talking and just doing the same thing over and over again. But some of them like you know, they can write a book for 400. You know, as much talking as some people do. Nigga could write a motherfucking book 400 pages. Yeah, I'm gonna just talk through this bitch. It's basically what he did. You know what I'm saying? So like, but I'm gonna show you get back to this thing over here. You said they are writers, yeah, right. So it's just like they just writing their thoughts out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like anybody can throw out a book, and if you get the right backing, it'll become propaganda like a motherfucker. Unfortunately.
And worked under the same slave person master for a while until they got enough money to get their own place, and then started a place called Africa Town. Built a little small town. They never decided to go back to Africa all that time. I mean, you know, could have did that. But anyways.
Oh yeah, I thought about it. I was like, so wait a minute. 5 years later, you was free at 19. Because in the story, he talks about these African kings and all this other stuff, and how, like, now I'm remembering like so much. Like, because that's the thing. I was like, damn, you remember all this shit happening in Africa, huh? At age 19, I can understand that. Yeah, all the kings and the kidnappings and all these things to, you know, be fearful about, right? How come you can't remember that African language though, man? That's what's pissing me off. The whole story, because the reason why when I first got the book, the first thing I said was, does this man speak an African language? Because that was my main thing in my head back then, trying to dispel some shit. And like when I saw it, I was like, nigga, you remember all this shit about Africa. I done went through chapters about Africa, nigga. And you ain't said nothing in an African language. If you don't get the fuck out of here. And not one time, Zora, you mean you're a linguistic expert and all this other shit, and not one time you didn't ask him a question? Could you say a couple of words in your African language, or is it something, you know, blah, 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 blah? No. Your PhD didn't get you that far with questions. No. I'm just supposed to believe you just didn't think about it, you know. And that's the type of shit that I'm just like, man, they are lying about the name being Africa Town. I believe that too. I hadn't looked into the back into that Africa Town, but I was like, the thing I thought was, I was like, they probably just named it there for some propaganda. You know what I'm saying? So Africa Town is Pritchard, Alabama, the bottom. Zora needed to please her YT benefactor. And it said Africa Town is Pritchard, Alabama. Oh, really? I need to look into that. Especially one day I may retackle like a lot of these stories, because I did these in my early days before I got known. So a lot of people don't even know that I've even been through these stories. And then I also got a fresh brain, new information, and kind of like how she's throwing more information. She says, what about Africa, Seneca Village? I had to do this so I could see the message. Can they prove it isn't African? What about Seneca Village? Can they prove it isn't African? You talking about like Seneca Village, which is like New York up there, Central Park now? Oh, you said it's called the Bottom. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to look into that. And one day I probably will retackle this story, because the Clotilda, it's still a well-known story out there, and the Zora Neale Hurston story as well, for this Barracoon. But yeah, now I have to look into Seneca Village. Well, we know that there was Seneca Indians, so really just knowing that there was a Seneca Indian tribe right there should just dispel the fact that it had anything to do with Africans. They found all of their remains. Yeah, just knowing that
should be enough for that. Wasn't Africa Town until 2000. That's even more so, because if it doesn't become that until after all these books, that shows you that they are solidifying propaganda versus telling history and preserving it, and that's even more sick. You know what I'm saying?
He was still, he was still of age. They started a whole town instead of just going back. That don't make sense. But even here, man, like, she visits this man at an old age, and I want y'all to read. I'm gonna read to y'all, like, this is just the first chapter, and it just sounds way too dramatic. She talks about how she goes to see him. She walks up to his porch. She looks him in the face, and he's seeing him halted, and she calls him. Yeah, right here. She says, "I decided to call him by his I hailed him by his African name as he walked on the steps of the porch. He looked at me, and I stood at that porch. He was surprised, or whatever. And he says, "Oh Lord, I know it. You call my name. Nobody don't call me my name from cross the water, but you always call me Kusula, just like I was in the Africa soil." Okay. Okay, she just said his name, and all of a sudden, this old man who's been in America all this time just randomly starts lamentating about, I don't even know if that's the right word, but about Africa. I should have said lamenting, and I don't even know if that really word goes with it. But anyways, it starts to go a little bit further, she starts to get a little bit more flub. He says, she's like, "I want to come talk to you. I came to talk to you," or whatever. He says, "I don't care. You can come talk to me. I don't, have much company." And then she says something. This is the part where it really gets like, okay, you just got to this dude. And he's like, after a minute or two, he remembered me and said, contritely, "Excuse me, you didn't do nothing to me. Cudjo feels so lonely. He can't help but cry sometime. What you want with me?" And she says, "First, I want to ask you how you feel today." And he said, under a muted silence, then he said, "I thank God I on praying ground and in a Bible country." And then she says, "But you didn't have a God back in Africa?" I asked him. And this is where it gets weird. His head dropped between his hands, and the tears sprung fresh. Seeing the anguish in his face, I regretted I had come to worry this captive in a strange land. He read my face and said, "Excuse me, I cry. I can't help it. When I hear the name call me, the name call, oh Lord, I know see Africa no more." Another long silence.
It's been less than 3 to 4 minutes this bitch done got to this nigga house. This nigga over here. Shit is so stupid. I said, nigga, who the... Look, man, all you gotta do is just put out a book. That's all you gotta do.
Then, how come you asked me, man, we know God back there in Africa? Anyway, I'm gonna stop right there for now, but come on now. You just met this man, so you can do an interview with him real quick. He's old as hell, in his late, probably because he lived to be like 100 or something like that. And so he's like probably in his 80s and 70s, 80s, somewhere up there. So he's been long detached from Africa. And you mean to tell me just because you came around here, anybody go around this man say the word Africa, he about to burst it. It's like, dude, ain't that much fluff in the world to be putting in a story, man. I'm trying to get through this book. But it's just like, dude, this can't be real to me. And then even when I go look up her Wikipedia, I was just like, in my head, I was just like, let me find out she part of some sorority. Because I found out in her book, he says that he was part of a secret society, a male secret society here in, I'll show you. In the origins of the book, it talks a little bit about his story. It talks about By age 14, Kosolo had trained as a soldier in Africa with the which entailed mastering the skills of hunting, camping, and tracking, and acquiring expertise in shooting arrows and throwing spears. None of that can help you over here in America when you land on this soil to build a country, to build do agriculture and build a town. But whatever. This training prepped him for his induction into the secret male society called Oro. That already got my...
You see that? Did you know that? Did you know that Cudjo was part of a secret male society? Yeah. All right.
Antennas, because once you got secret societies, your antennas need to go up. And when you go to Old Girl's Wiki, I just came down on the quick, and what do you know? She's one of the first members of the Zeta Phi Beta sorority. Good old indoctrination people, so that just gives me a little bit of her mindset. And how do I know that these two secret society people didn't somehow help to coerce this story even further? You know what I'm saying? I mean, what kind of motive do they have except for, getting fame and fortune from a book? You know what I'm saying? Talking about the last known, slave person. So, anyways, man, I'm gonna go live later.
Let me see if I can find the other one. You said, yikes, said they got $1.3 million to build a museum for fake ship pieces in the wrong beat, on the wrong boat. Yep. I didn't know how much money. I knew that was a piece of shit ass motherfucking museum. It was just a little raggedy ass house with a little pieces of wood in the center of it. 1.3 million. Imagine, pay $30,000 for that little cheap ass little raggedy house. Decorate that bitch for about $20,000. Pocket the rest of the million. These niggas is crazy, nigga. Nigga crazy. The real shit is wrong. 1.3 million. Let me see if I can find the next one.
Okay, sir, let me get on your...
Not that one.
So I just...
Oh, yeah, that's that one.
Man, that's so... This... Okay. Yo.
Or did I go live? I might have went live about it and never did a video about it. Let's see.
All right, sir. I hope you are ready.
Kente.
We don't need no more of this shit.
Huh.
Do you... Now, people's... Hey.
Man, I know I did some more Clotilda videos.
Yup.
Hold on, man. Let me just look. And maybe I did some Clotilda ones before that. I remember I was debating that one dude, now that I think about it. It might have been before... Or no... Let me see what this is real quick.
So I stumbled across this. Why would I... that all it is?
Okay, no. Let me see if I can find it. If I find it for y'all, I'll show y'all this, and then your boy gotta lay it down. How many of y'all know that these people be fucking on donkeys? Watch this. This is just for fun.
I'm remaking this, but these are not the indigenous people of South America. Let me show you. Not doing shit like this, they not.
So I went with our translator to talk to people in the local village. Could you ask, was that young man having relations with that donkey, or did I missee something?
Estuvimos afuera y vimos a un muchacho haciendo algo con una burra. ¿Eso es teniendo relaciones con la burra? ¿O...
Okay.
¿Sí?
Sí.
Yes, that's right.
What did he say?
No trouble at all.
Normal. Es normal.
So you all
Que ustedes todos lo hacen.
enjoy the company of donkeys.
They all fucking donkeys.
De la compañía de la burra. So they say that basically basically that's the first wife, the first lover that they have.
That's nice. They been fucking the hell out of that donkey.
That game, you put every single donkey, or
Se
just
divierte en la compañía de todos sus
all of them, male and female.
hacemos fila. ¿Hombres y mujeres?
No, las mujeres estamos... Mujeres aparte, hombre aparte.
Okay, no. Only female.
So they don't have sex with male donkeys. That would be what, weird?
So yeah, man, they can't be the indigenous people of Colombia. They would still be fucking on donkeys. They never would have evolved to build pyramids. You don't build pyramids with a mindset of fucking donkeys. So let me see if I can find these Clotilda videos really quickly. Man, Lorenzo Del Turner videos. That was when I first started getting to the Geechee shit. Started questioning shit. I gotta give a shout out to she just hit my I hadn't talked to her in a while. I ain't seen her in the street. She said she still be in the street. She just don't be in under her name just cause so I don't wanna toss her out there like that, but well, you know, I don't think she cared. But Empress Kitty, she used to be on the out here all the time, man, and she said I got tired of the drama sometime on these live streams. So I can understand that. But she was the first one that really kind of threw out the idea. She emailed me or DM'd me a map about the Wale area. And she was like, you should check into this. And shit. And now we got a Geechee documentary coming. Yeah, almost several months later. I done dug so deep into that motherfucking story. So I give her credit for throwing me onto the game. Man, where the hell? Cause I went deep on that Clotilda story, but again, like as I think about it, I want to say I'm gonna look back further back, but I want to say that maybe I did like a long live stream, and I thought I did like some videos about it. But there's one area where I went back and forth with this one guy, and I think it was down below. I just want to make sure I didn't pass it from here. Yeah, if I'm in the Choloco. And I saw his face early. There he goes. So let me see. It might be somewhere around here. Let me go back just a bit and start from here. That was one of my first videos to get kind of up there. 10,000 views. Okay, Clotilda story. No, I was going back with him and forth with him on slave ship manifest, some manumissions. I remember doing the manumission shit.
So I like responding to these people. It gives me Sir?
No.
Okay.
No. It may have been a crazy cool live stream that I got in my head, because here goes the Clotilda. So I knew it was around the same time. Let me just double check though. It might have just been like a dope live stream that I did like after it, and it got stuck in my head as if I did videos on the shit. Damn. Cause that's crazy. Cause I want to say I had showed the museum. I showed the little sticks. I showed the news channel saying how it was fake. I remember showing all that shit. But maybe that was a motherfucking live stream, man. Maybe there was a motherfucking live stream, man. Let me just go up.
She has speed, and she has grace. She has
America's Last Slave shit, so you know I'm not bullshit. Okay? So this is what Braveheart is saying. Where the hell they gonna sleep? Where the hell the food gonna be at? I'm talking back about it. Where they gonna dump their... That's the Clotilda example.
So I wanted to...
My bad.
You want to know why they haven't tied us back?
I gotta go back and watch some of these.
Dude.
I don't even remember them.
Pretty.
There was one.
What?
I know I at least had one other video, but that. Let me go back to it real quick.
Man, I need to look, man. You know.
Hell, I forgot which one it was.
Hey, still. Did you try to? Now, my boy.
Okay, right.
Braveheart just told you. Where are the captains in them? Where are they gonna sleep at? Now, even if you want to say, well, Sam, you know, they just gonna run. Nobody asked Arthur. When you look her up, she ain't nothing but somebody who was one of the first.
Yeah, by that time I was real in her, getting in her ass. Yeah, so I guess I didn't make any more. I'm gonna just look one more round up. I guess I didn't make any more videos about that, man. It must have been a live stream because I can visually see in my head like what the hell I was talking about. So yeah, I'm gonna have to revive that story on the Clotilda here pretty damn soon. Yeah, even the one about the Filipinos, I need to revive that story. For those that don't know, I'm gonna at least play this before I whatever. You say you passed it, the white lady in the museum. Did I pass? What? Hold on. Let me see. Cause I be skimming like a motherfucker. You probably talking about her over. Was you talking about her right here? Oh, you said I played it. Oh, okay. I played it. Oh, you talking about the one I played already? Okay. I was about to say, shoot, I wouldn't be surprised. I was about to say you might have seen the. It might have been like a little a little thumbnail of the museum, and you probably was like, "What? You must have seen it? I didn't see it." And you might have recognized it. Oh yeah, I was gonna play this.
Just wanted to make another post about this Philippine thing because this Filipino, and I'm going to show you the video, he knows the history of the Philippines and how the Spaniards came and took over the black people that were already there. Now, he didn't call them African, he didn't call them American, he just called them black people that were in the Philippines. And Africans tend to have this thing where they want to latch on to everybody as if everybody came from there, so they have to be African. And it's really annoying because we all don't look like you, we all don't act like you. It is what it is. Because this lady, I'm going to show you, she doesn't really say it, but she says we. And there's another one that I just don't feel like going and finding it, but either her or this other guy mentioned black people, or there are these people being African and not Filipinos that are just black skinned. And it's definitely not them because they don't have afros like that. But regardless, I'm not going to tell the people where they come from because a creation story, we're still not sure what the creation story was. Did everybody start in one spot? Did everybody become Aboriginal, come up at the ground in 8 different areas? Did we come from etheric beings from physical, astral to physical, and we've all, devolved to physical beings based? I don't know. Or was it Adam and Eve? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But what we can't do is tell people where they came from. We can just listen and observe and make some kind of assumption.
Damn video.
But listening and observing is more important. Philippines, like this.
The stuff that's busy, the market day is on Friday. So I went there and it was closed, but I met some really nice people, and they were Itas. So the Itas are the black people of the Philippines. You guys are everywhere. We are Aboriginals in Australia.
No.
We are, what are they called in Canada? I don't know what they're called in Canada, but also in Canada, they're black people. They're the original. Like most of the original black people in the countries around the world are black. So even here they have Aita and other tribes, but the ones I met, they were Aita. So this is a very nice lady that I met there.
Now, she didn't say African, she said black. And I'm not going to completely trip on that, even though The skin color is not black. Even her skin is not with shades of copper. This is black, and really this is a dark copper. But regardless of that, you see how they try to latch on. I'm going to show you another guy who says this, but before I show you him, I'm going to show you the Filipino who tells you the real history, okay, and from their history books, okay, but it's one of those things. Phenotypically, we're not the same, okay, and phenotypically, they're not the same, and you just heard her try to claim the Aboriginals. We've never tried to claim the Aboriginals of Australia, and we never tried to claim those from Australia either. We know that they call themselves Aboriginal to Australia, and we call ourselves original to America. Y'all call yourselves Africans for whatever reason. It should be something well before then. I think something is up with y'all. But you got the Filipinos. They call themselves Ayeta people or Moros or maybe other things, depending on their tribe. But they say that they're original, and they've been there for over 30,000 years. So for you all to just say, oh, black, yeah, melanated people with melanated skin are all around the world. You got some people with melanated skin with straight hair. They're not the same, okay? Like this guy in the Philippines, he is not the same as me. Our skin tone, he's actually darker than me. That doesn't make him the same. We have to look at phenotypes. Yes, some people in the Philippines may be similar to and migrated from either Americas or Africas, but you can't, or Africa, but you can't take skin tone to be any kind of the defining factor of what you're talking about. Phenotypically, his eyes, his eyebrows, his nose, the way his smirk is, the way his lips are, and all that stuff, and the shapes. That is what makes you, not just your skin tone. And we know this because these people have a white colored skin tone, but we don't call them white tea. They are what they are, or what they call them. Now, they probably derived from those people, possibly, or maybe they are a separate species from whatever means, however they were created. Maybe they are separate. I'm not going to knock them, but when you look at them, they're completely different phenotypically from a European, but they have a very similar skin tone. So I don't understand how people with this skin tone act like around the world act like y'all don't understand it, or at least the Africans. It's really the Africans that try to push it. Everybody else, the Filipinos, everybody else, all the Mexicans.
I wanted you to see the Filipino.
Anyway.
Tell me about the Moors in the Philippines. The Moors, or we call them the Moros, okay, are people who are in the Philippines before there was a Philippines. So before the Spanish people came to the Philippines, they have a sultanate or tribal community in the Philippines. And the known leaders during that time, the more Islamic leaders are Umabon, Magat Salamat, which might be my relative, I don't know. Tupas, so many, but they're in our history books. Okay. But it's hard to date some information because most of the written history was during the Spanish period. But I could send you some stuff. Oh, yeah, send me that hidden history, man. Appreciate that. Yep. Now, it was a lot of heroes, too. Like,
I'm gonna leave that there because I start going into all kind of conjecture after that. Not conjecture, but tangents. But for the most part, I just wanted y'all to see that because I just saw it there or whatever. But that just to show that even like Filipinos know, like you got to think the average American don't really know American history like that. Like we really just not rethinking it in the way it should be thought. A lot of it was told to us. Not a lot. Some of it was told to us, and really a small amount was there. I take it all back. A small amount was told to us, but some was told, but we just haven't put some of the puzzle pieces together, like the Louisiana Purchase and how westward expansion affected us. Like we just know how it affected the white folks, but that makes sense. That's what they're gonna tell us. How did westward expansion help the United States? They ain't gonna give a damn about how it affected you, your folks, your Indians, your whatever who was there and all this other stuff. Whereas like here, the history they're getting taught, they know some of the things that happened in their past. They know that some of the black people, which that video is right here, that these people existed before, and that one always got a lot of views, decently, or 10,000. That these people always existed before they came into play. And you got to think about that. In many places, in many countries, these people don't admit typically that these people were the first. Typically, these people are trying to suppress that information. But there's some countries out there where people do care about the black, indigenous, or whatever original folks in their area or in their land. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they still suppress them in some kind of ways. There might be some people who actually are pretty cool with it, but I'm pretty sure there's some people out there that are hella racist toward them. But for the most part, I'm just saying, like, the history is out there like that, man, and it's similar to our history, basically. And that's what I wanted to kind of throw out there is like our history. My bad, I'm look down. I appreciate y'all for the gifts. Appreciate y'all for everything. I've been seeing y'all talk stuff, and if I miss it, just don't be mad at me. A lot of times, I'm looking directly at the iPad more than I am at the screen through the iPad because I can't see the whole iPad through the screen. That's why I always have to sometimes look down and adjust that bitch for y'all. I'll be like, oh yeah, my bad. Y'all can't see what I'm reading. But appreciate that. But yeah, like they know that these people exist. But typically, like the problem in our country is our people who existed first, which are us too. We have people that look like that too, right? That now take our place and they won't admit it. That's the problem. At least if you go over there, they admit it. And you get to see a direct visual of like, damn, that's true. You know what I'm saying? They know. And it's the same thing. The Siberians over here. Now over here, it looks like a mixture of the Filipinos, Siberians. I think that's where it's, you know what? To think about it, that's probably where it's kind of fucked up because it depends on the mindset of people. I'll say this, like Filipinos to me, I've always been cool with Filipinos. Like whenever I've gone on cruise ships, I know that sounds a little stereotypical, but whenever I've gone on cruise ships, they always been cool as shit, you know what I'm saying? Help you out, being all extra nice and shit. Yeah, they gonna get that tip, you know what I'm saying? They try to get that tip money. But at the same time, they be real cool. But I've also hired Filipino workers. My invention now that I'm doing is through a company out of the Philippines. I've been working with them, but also from one of my businesses, I hired a customer service rep, answer the phones, do all that shit. But you can get those for pretty cheap, real cheap, to be honest. $300 a month, $200 a month, $400 a month. You can really get you. And if you need to know if you need to know how to do that, I can tell you how to do that. They typically cool as hell. Yeah, they typically are. So when I see the Filipinos telling the truth about they folks, I'm like, man. I mean, about these folks, I'm like, man, that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? I can see that. But over here, you have some Filipinos who are in those Native American groups. They typically at this point have been Americanized for quite some time and bred into this shit and then into the Native American indoctrination to where they're not as cool as the Filipinos are over there. Plus, they're mixed in with a bunch of Japanese, Chinese, Whiteys, Russians, Spaniards, some Middle Eastern looking for cats in some of these motherfuckers. Some of them are mixtures of all of those together, to be honest. It's some of them. And so it's almost like this is hard to, I was gonna say it's hard to kind of be that whistleblower, right? Because you're not amongst a bunch of your own. But on top of that, some of them other cultures ain't got as cool of a culture as the Filipinos. Your Siberians, I don't know if they that cool. Some of them might be. I don't know. I want to say I don't know much about the Siberian. The Mongolians, I don't know much about them. They had a pretty bad history about doing a lot of conquering, so that probably wasn't their best, There might have been some motherfuckers from the Turks, Ottoman Empire. I don't know who the fuck, right? But Chinese, and Chinese can be iffy. Chinese, Chinese can be pretty shitty. They can be cool too, but they can be pretty shitty. There's different ones, you know what I'm saying? So like when I think about all of them, I can see why they're holding the secrets of who we are compared to like why the Filipinos are just like, oh yeah, there they go right there. You need to look for the original people right there. Oh, bet, appreciate it. So yeah, let me get off here, man, so I can get me some sleep, so y'all can get y'all some sleep or get on another live and go off on somebody. I'ma holler back at y'all. Have a good night. I'll probably do something tomorrow. We'll see.